I am called to be humble in my life. I'm called to lift others up. I'm called to encourage others. I do not want pride to rule my life. But what if people thought I was a god? So here's the thing. I'm reading through Acts 14 today out of the daily reading plan. And Paul and Barnabas are on their mission trip. They basically hit these different cities. They've been in Antioch. They've been in Iconium. Now they're in Lystra. And at these previous cities, whenever they go into the cities, two different groups of people. One group of people, they hear the gospel. Their lives have changed. Another group of people are totally against Paul and Barnabas, and they run them out of the city. So they come into Lystra. Paul heals a fellow who's been lame since birth, and for whatever reason, the crowd there decides that Paul and Barnabas are gods. And so they actually want to perform sacrifices to them. But my thought there was simply, what would be my reaction there? Especially if I've been persecuted in these other cities, if I've been treated like garbage, and some of these people, they want to give me stuff and treat me like a god, would I be like, yeah, sure. But Paul and Barnabas don't do that, right? As we read in chapter 14 there, they go down into the crowd. They are dissuading people from it. They're telling people, we're just like you. They're trying to tell people how good God is. And then sure enough, what we have then is we have this group of people who has followed them clearly from these other cities. They come into this crowd and they turn this crowd against Paul and Barnabas. So basically this crowd who had been totally lifting Paul and Barnabas up, worshiping them, wanting to do sacrifices to them, these people all of a sudden, their lives are turned back against Paul, okay? And they actually end up stoning Paul and Barnabas and leaving them for dead. So Paul and Barnabas, with the help of their followers, they're able to get out. They go on to the next city. They go on to Derbe there, and same thing, Paul is preaching up. People's lives are being changed. And instead of Paul then going, let's go on to the next city, Paul, because his identity is rooted in who he is as a Christian, for putting his life forward so other people can hear the gospel, to endure suffering for that, he actually takes Barnabas and he goes back to Lystra, he goes back to Iconium, he goes back to Antioch to strengthen the followers that are there, to build up the churches. Guys, that is an incredible story of God equipping Paul and Barnabas through the Holy Spirit, giving them the ability to experience that persecution and to be able to continue on in humility and be able to disciple people and lift people up. But here's the thing. It should also be a very, very encouraging story for all of us here. Because the reality is that the same Holy Spirit that empowered Paul, the same Holy Spirit that empowered Barnabas and gave them direction and vision and allowed them to undergo that persecution and continue on, is the same Holy Spirit that fills us as believers. And it's the same Holy Spirit that is extended to people that come to know who God is and surrender themselves to Christ. So I want to encourage you guys today as we go from here, that you keep that thought in your head, that as we go through the book of Acts and you read these crazy stories and you read what Paul experiences, and you perhaps think to yourself, there's no way I could be like that. There's no way I can experience that and continue to be a Christian. I would just totally cave. I would just give in. I want to encourage you guys, because your reaction as you read that should be the exact opposite. You should live with that awareness of who you are as a child of Christ. You should live with an awareness of the humbleness and humility that we are called to, but also realize the boldness that we are called to as we declare the gospel to the world. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.